How you doing? Welcome to Quinn's Pub. Only 65 days left, St. Patrick's Day, so this is the 65th day, and we're celebrating now. Someone said, put that back to 0.
Glenn Quinn was one of Hollywood's rising young stars. On TV, he eloped with Roseanne's daughter and became a cult celebrity as a lead on the dark drama, Angel.
He just got job after job after job. It was never really something that he worried about.
But away from the spotlight, Quinn struggled.
He was wrestling with a lot of stuff in his own heart and his own mind.
And there's only one thing to say, and that's make him laugh. Make him laugh. Or cry.
Glenn Martin Christopher Francis Quinn was born on May 28, 1970, in Dublin, Ireland.
All our friends lived on the street during the summertime. We'd hang out and play games of rounders and kick the can.
Glenn's friends would hang out at my house. They played their music, and I had a little den where they would just all sit and talk and play cards.
This is my mom and dad.
His dad was a musician and a singer and pretty famous in Ireland. His family stayed at the best hotels and everything.
When Quinn was just a boy, his father Murdy took off.
That was a big issue with Glenn. But, you know, it's what happened, and you accept it.
When Glenn was 18, he moved with his mother and 2 sisters to Long Beach, California.
I was a single mom. I had 3 kids to raise. I wanted to spend most of my time with them, so I worked evenings, and it was tough. It was really hard. But we survived.
Glenn worked odd jobs to help make ends meet, then decided to give acting a shot.
I almost fell off the chair with the fright that he was even thinking of leaving our family and going to Hollywood.
He was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to get a job up there.
He just literally came in off the street, which happens once in a while, but not often. And usually the ones that do are not the ones that you're particularly interested in. But he looked special.
He was charming. There was a vulnerability, and without the vulnerability, I don't think you can really be a fabulous actor. And he let that come through.
Glenn perfected his American accent, and the work paid off. In 1990, he landed the role of the rebellious teen, Mark Healy, on the blockbuster TV show, Roseanne.
He was just ecstatic, you know, as we all were. Our whole family would go to the shows. We'd wait backstage and go down on the set and hang out with him.
So I'm going to be standing here trying to remember my lines if I can. It's going to be a terrible thing to forget your lines. But we're going to, hopefully we haven't we've written them down somewhere.
I don't think he knew how good he was in the show. He just was so funny, without trying to be funny.
This is where the audience is going to be tonight. So it'll be a lot of fun. It's a real kind of a big buzz, just huge buzz, you know, and just adrenaline city. It's great.
Quinn's rising profile brought him back home to the British Isles, where he taped another TV show.
He was doing Roseanne, and he started doing a series in England called Covington Cross.
He constantly worked. Flew to England, worked on Roseanne, back and forth, doing different shows.
He just was so excited about his life, so excited that he was an actor, that he was actually living his dreams.
To celebrate, Quinn bought a home in the Hollywood Hills.
And it was a cool bachelor pad actor with money house.
He always had parties at his house, great parties.
But the trappings of fame came with a hidden cost.
I think living in Hollywood and partying and living the high life, you're bound to go down the wrong road or meet somebody who's going to influence you.
You know, everybody's telling you how wonderful you are, how great you are, all the things that you would love to hear. And he was gravitating towards all of this seductiveness.
I grabbed him like this and like this, started screaming my head off. You did it to me again. I cannot believe it.
I've had it. Keep it going for Glenn Quinn.
Just 2 years after leaving Dublin for Hollywood, Glenn Quinn charmed his way into millions of living rooms with a recurring role on the hit series Roseanne.
This is Glenn's dressing room. Glenn's one of the only actors in the show that came with a bar.
plenty of whiskey to go around everywhere.
Roseanne ended in 1997. With time on his hands, Quinn's demons began to surface.
I think Glenn struggled from some childhood issues and his family relationships that left a hole in his heart.
Glenn held many secrets. I think that he was hurting inside.
When people get involved in drugs and alcohol, a lot of times that is a mask. They're trying to deaden some feelings that they may have.
Being an actor, it's escapism. And when you're wearing someone else's clothes and you're saying someone else's words, you cease to exist, which is the exact same thing that people often use drugs for. People that are attracted by one are attracted by the other.
Glenn invested in a grungy James Bond-themed nightclub called Goldfinger's.
The bartenders and the people that worked there really loved him, and you could tell that he took pride in it, and this is my club, I own it.
I thought it was the worst thing Glenn could do, being a drinker and an alcoholic, to invest in a bar.
Whenever I rolled in and he was there, the two of us would sit in a booth and talk about two things: not doing drugs and acting.
In 1999, Glenn landed a recurring role on the TV series Angel, playing the part of the half-demon Doyle.
He was thrilled when he got Angel. He loved to play that role of Doyle.
But as life seemed to get better, Glenn's behavior turned more erratic.
He would be in a good mood and then all of a sudden, like, just seem really, like, you know, uncomfortable, and I kind of just could tell that there was something going on deeper than the drinking.
He was really trying to hide that from us. He wanted so badly for us to all be so proud of him.
When Glenn's character on Angel was killed, rumors spread that Quinn had been kicked off the series.
I heard about Glenn having troubles on set and the fact that it was probably drug-related. It only broke my heart because he didn't want to be a problem on set. He didn't, you know, just like he didn't want to be a drug addict.
In 2000, director Charles Winkler began working on a low-budget feature titled At Any Cost. Quinn was hired as one of the leads.
When I started asking around about him, I was a little frightened. It seemed like everybody but me knew that Glenn had gotten tossed off Angel because of his drinking and his partying and his carousing. But, you know, I've done a share of carousing in my day as well, so I figured, all right, you know, no problem.
Before the start of filming in Houston, Winkler called the cast together to read through the script.
The table reads 9 o'clock, and the AD says, listen, we're missing one actor. And, yeah, who's that? Well, Glenn. We're calling his room, there's no answer. We're having people pounding on the door. Finally, security comes up, they open the door, Glenn is sprawled out in his room. The room is a total mess. Clearly, he's been on some kind of insane drinking binge. Liquor bottles are splayed out, there's vomit on the sheets. I mean, it was ugly, man. It was ugly.
Quinn convinced the director he was just hungover and would be fine. But a few weeks later, Glenn disappeared again. When the crew finally found him, he was drunk and disheveled.
The whole time he's trying to make excuses and explain. I then grabbed him like this and literally started screaming my head off. You did it to me again. I cannot believe it. And he's frantic, you know, he's crying and he's yelling, and then he starts saying, you know, hit me, go ahead, hit me, I deserve it. And I said to Glenn, don't you ever get tired of this? Don't you? I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't have a career like this. And he just sat there kind of sobbing.
Glenn finished the film and returned home to LA. But by then, Quinn had developed a new addiction. He was hooked on heroin. Desperate to help, family and friends organized an intervention.
Bernadette, the sisters, cousins, we had a lot of people sitting here, and we just poured our heart out to him, but it really made him angry. He was not ready to hear that. And that was kind of the breaking point for Glenn and I.
I wish that would have helped Glenn, because I couldn't stand by and watch what was happening. I realized that I needed to step away for my own self, too.
Heroin is just, I mean, it's the devil. People that normally wouldn't even be big liars or horrible people, it's just an ugly, ugly drug.
Quinn resisted help for months, but when he finally decided to get into detox, his addictions were too strong.
It seemed to be okay for a couple of months, and then he fought back again.
Unable to stay clean, Quinn needed a steady flow of cash. He sold his house and his share of the bar. When he wasn't in rehab, Glenn crashed with friends.
By the time you've lost your house and you lose your things, it's like it's gone so far.
He wasn't going on auditions. We knew he was struggling.
It's so sad to hear anyone just being in a place where even drugs are more important than their own dignity.
I know he did try. He did try hard, but maybe not hard enough.
In November 2002, Glenn completed yet another program at a live-in treatment center in Malibu. But this time, family and friends felt they had reason to hope.
He was talking about wanting to be better and what he was going to do with his life.
But it's tough. I mean, it is tough, especially if it comes to heroin. It consumes you. It's terrifying. And it kills you. It kills you even when you're still alive. You're just walking around dead.
Less than 1 week after leaving rehab, Quinn's road to recovery took a turn.
He'd been with me that day. It was just a huge shock.
There was a message on my machine that there was an urgency to it, so I called him back, and that was already too late.
On December 3rd, 2002, Glenn Quinn sat on a friend's couch in a North Hollywood apartment and injected a lethal dose of heroin. He was 32 years old.
It was just unexpected. He kept a lot of things inside of him. He just wanted everybody to be proud of him.
He didn't want to be a drug addict. He wanted to be an actor.
He was definitely a bright light. He was burning out fast, but he was still a bright light.
The term fall from grace seems a little overly poetic. It's a tragedy. You know, it's a tragedy.
And may you be in heaven a half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. That's a good one, isn't it? Jesus, I hope I never get there at all.